The strangest thing about fate is that it often watches you long before you ever notice it. The rain painted silver streaks across the club's floor-to-ceiling windows, turning Manhattan into a blur of lights and shadows beyond the glass. I adjusted the tray in my hands and forced a smile I didn't feel. My feet ached, my shoulders burned, and I couldn't remember the last time I'd slept more than 4 hours. The club was packed. Expensive suits, designer dresses, crystal glasses catching the glow of golden chandeliers. People laughed like they had never worried about a hospital bill in their lives. I was 25 years old, carrying drinks through a room full of strangers while my mother lay in a hospital bed 15 miles away. Every tip mattered. Every shift mattered. Every dollar brought me one step closer to paying for treatments insurance refused to cover. Table 17, one of the managers called. VIP section. I nodded and grabbed the order. Table 17 was impossible to miss. It sat on a raised platform overlooking the entire club. Private, exclusive, untouchable. And every single night, the same man sat there. Roman Vescari. Most people never said his name out loud. They lowered their voices when they talked about him. They glanced over their shoulders first. Even the staff walked a little straighter whenever he was around. I didn't know much about him. Only rumors. Stories that drifted through the club like cigarette smoke. Stories about power, influence, connections. But none of those stories explained why he kept coming back every night, or why he always sat alone. I carried a bottle of sparkling water and 2 glasses to the table. As always, Roman barely looked at the menu. As always, he appeared completely calm. Dark suit, dark hair, sharp features. The kind of face that belonged on magazine covers rather than whispered conversations. I set the glasses down carefully. Anything else tonight, sir? His green eyes lifted briefly. Just 1 second. Maybe less. Yet something about that glance made my pulse stumble. No, he said quietly. His voice was smooth and controlled. Thank you, Tessa. My stomach tightened. He knew my name. Most customers never remembered it. Roman always did. I walked away before my thoughts could linger on it. There were tables to clear, orders to deliver, tips to earn, hours to survive. Near midnight, I slipped into the employee hallway and checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Mercy General Hospital. My heart immediately sank. I called back. A nurse answered. Ms. Whitmore. Yes. Your mother's condition is stable. I closed my eyes in relief. But we need to discuss additional treatment options tomorrow. Additional treatment options. Those words always meant one thing. More money. More bills. More impossible choices. I thanked her and ended the call. For a moment, I stood alone under the fluorescent lights. Breathing. Trying not to cry. Trying not to fall apart before the rest of my shift. Then I felt it. That strange sensation of being watched. I looked up. Across the crowded club. Beyond the lights and music. Roman was staring directly at me from table 17. Not at the stage. Not at the crowd. At me. His expression didn't change. His face revealed nothing. Yet something about the intensity of his gaze sent a chill through me. As if he wasn't just looking at me. As if he was trying to remember me. And for the first time, I noticed something even stranger. His eyes weren't focused on my face. They were fixed on the silver bracelet around my wrist. The bracelet I had worn for as long as I could remember. The bracelet my mother always told me never to lose. Roman suddenly stood up, so fast his chair scraped against the floor. The entire VIP section went silent. And before I could understand what was happening, he started walking toward me. My grandmother used to say that some answers arrive years before the questions they belong to. Roman stopped 3 feet away from me. The music still played. Glasses still clinked. People still laughed. Yet the entire club suddenly felt quiet. His eyes remained fixed on the silver bracelet around my wrist. I instinctively covered it with my hand. The gesture seemed to snap him out of whatever thought had captured him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he took a slow breath. Where did you get that bracelet? His voice was calm, but something underneath it sounded strained. I looked down at the worn silver links. I have had it since I was a kid. His jaw tightened. Who gave it to you? I swallowed. My mother. Roman stared at me for another second. Then his expression became unreadable again, like a curtain dropping over a window. I see. That was it. No explanation. No reason for the questions. He simply turned and walked away. The crowd slowly returned to normal. Conversations resumed. Music filled the room again. But my heart refused to settle. The rest of my shift passed in a blur. Every time I glanced toward table 17, Roman seemed lost in thought. He barely touched his drink, barely spoke to anyone. Near 2 in the morning, the final customers began leaving. Staff members moved through the club collecting glasses and wiping tables. My feet felt like concrete. I wanted nothing more than sleep. As I grabbed my coat from the employee locker room, Trent Holloway appeared in the doorway. His expensive watch caught the fluorescent light. "Long night?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Like every night." Trent leaned against the doorframe. "You work harder than anyone here, Tessa." Compliments from Trent always felt uncomfortable. They usually came attached to something else. "Thanks." He nodded toward my locker. "You ever think about taking one of the private hosting jobs?" My stomach sank immediately. "No. The money is incredible." "Still no." His smile faded slightly. "You could solve a lot of problems." I knew exactly what he meant. Everyone did. Certain wealthy clients paid enormous amounts for company at private events. Nothing illegal. Nothing dangerous. At least that was how management described it. But I had never accepted. Not once. Trent sighed. "You are making life harder than it needs to be." I closed my locker. "Maybe." Then I walked past him before he could continue. Outside, cold rain tapped against the sidewalk. Manhattan glowed beneath reflections of red taillights and neon signs. I pulled my jacket tighter and started toward the subway station. Halfway down the block, my phone rang. Mercy General. My pulse instantly spiked. I answered before the second ring. "Hello." The nurse sounded exhausted. "Ms. Whitmore, your mother had some complications tonight." My legs stopped moving. "Is she okay?" "She is stable now." Stable. The most terrifying word in medicine. It never meant good. It only meant not yet. I pressed my eyes shut. "Can I come see her?" "Visiting hours are over, but I think she would like that." 20 minutes later, I was sitting beside my mother's hospital bed. Machines hummed softly. Rain tapped against the window. Deborah Whitmore looked smaller than I remembered. Illness had a way of shrinking people. She opened her eyes when she heard me sit down. A tired smile appeared. "You should be sleeping." I laughed quietly. "You first." Her hand found mine. Warm. Fragile. Familiar. Then her gaze shifted to my wrist. To the silver bracelet. The same bracelet Roman could not stop staring at. "Mom." She blinked. "What is it?" I hesitated. Where did this bracelet come from? Something changed in her expression. Not fear. Not exactly. More like surprise. Deep surprise. She looked at it for several seconds. Then she whispered words I had never heard before. I always hoped nobody would ask me that question. A chill ran through my chest. "What do you mean?" My mother looked toward the dark hospital window. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "Because that bracelet never belonged to us." Some secrets do not feel dangerous when you first hear them. They feel impossible. I stared at my mother, waiting for her to smile and tell me she was joking. She did not. The faint hospital light softened the lines of exhaustion on her face. Outside the window, rain slid down the glass like silent tears. "What do you mean it never belonged to us?" I asked. My voice sounded smaller than I intended. My mother looked toward the bracelet again. Her fingers trembled slightly. Not from fear. From memory. "You were 6 years old," she said quietly. "We were living in Brooklyn back then." I searched my mind. Most of those years felt blurry. Pieces of old photographs. Fragments of conversations. Half-forgotten birthdays. I remember some of it. She nodded. "Not the night that matters." The room suddenly felt colder. Machines continued their steady rhythm beside her bed. I waited. "There was a winter storm," she said. "The worst one I had seen in years." Her eyes drifted toward the ceiling. "You wandered away from me." My stomach tightened. "I did. You were always curious." A faint smile touched her lips. "You saw a dog across the street and chased after it." I could almost picture it. A little girl running without thinking. A frightened mother searching through falling snow. "I was terrified," she whispered. I looked everywhere. Her voice cracked slightly. "Then someone brought you back." I leaned forward. "Who?" My mother hesitated. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she shook her head. I never learned her full name. That answer somehow made everything stranger. "A girl?" My mother nodded. "A teenager. Maybe 16. I looked down at the bracelet. "And this belonged to her?" "Yes." My heart began beating faster. "Why would she give it to me?" My mother smiled sadly. "Because you would not stop crying." Despite everything, I laughed softly. That sounded exactly like the 6-year-old version of me. "She sat with you until I found you." My mother's eyes glistened. She was incredibly kind. I swallowed. Then what happened? The smile disappeared. She left. Just like that. Just like that. I frowned. That makes no sense. I know. She closed her eyes briefly. But before she left, she took off her bracelet and wrapped it around your wrist. I looked at the silver links. Worn. Scratched. Ordinary. Yet suddenly they felt heavier. Did she say what? My mother opened her eyes again. Only one thing. I waited. She told me that sometimes people find each other again when they need each other most. A chill ran down my arms. The words felt oddly familiar, as if I had heard them before, or dreamed them. That is all. I asked. That is all. Silence settled between us. Then my mother reached for my hand. Why are you asking about this now? I hesitated. I almost told her everything. About Roman. About the way he stared at the bracelet. About the questions. About the look on his face. Instead, I chose part of the truth. Someone at work noticed it. Her expression immediately sharpened. Who? I looked away. Nobody important. The lie arrived too quickly. Mothers always knew. Even sick mothers. Especially sick mothers. She studied me carefully. Then she sighed. Tessa. What? Be careful. My chest tightened. Of what? Her gaze drifted toward the bracelet once more. Some objects carry memories. I managed a weak smile. That sounds dramatic. Maybe. Her voice lowered. Or maybe some stories are not finished yet. I left the hospital an hour later. The rain had stopped. The city shimmered beneath streetlights and wet pavement. My mind replayed every word she had said. A storm. A stranger. A bracelet. A promise about finding people again. None of it explained Roman Vescari. None of it explained why a powerful man had looked shaken by a piece of old silver jewelry. My phone buzzed as I reached the subway entrance. An unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. Then I answered. Hello. Silence greeted me. For 2 seconds, nobody spoke. Then a calm male voice finally broke through. Do not lose that bracelet, Tessa. My blood turned to ice. I stopped walking instantly. Who is this? Another pause. Then the line disconnected. Fear sounds different at 2 in the morning. It sounds like your own footsteps echoing through an empty subway station. It sounds like a phone call from an unknown number. It sounds like a stranger knowing something they should not know. I stood frozen near the entrance while commuters hurried past me. The call had lasted less than 10 seconds. Yet my heart refused to slow down. I looked down at the bracelet wrapped around my wrist. The silver links caught the glow of a nearby street lamp. Suddenly it no longer felt like jewelry. It felt like a question. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the voice again. Calm. Controlled. Certain. Do not lose that bracelet, Tessa. By morning, exhaustion hung over me like a storm cloud. I grabbed coffee on my way to Mercy General and headed straight for my mother's room. She was asleep when I arrived. Peaceful for once. The sight loosened something inside my chest. I sat quietly beside her bed and watched sunlight creep across the floor. For a few minutes, life felt normal. Then a doctor entered carrying a folder. His expression told me everything before he spoke. My stomach sank. We moved into a consultation room. Bright lights. Beige walls. A box of tissues sitting on the table. The kind of room nobody wanted to visit. The doctor explained treatment options. Additional procedures. New medications. Longer care plans. Every sentence seemed attached to another expense. I nodded through most of it. Numbers blurred together. When he finally slid the estimate across the table, my breath caught. The total looked impossible. More money than I had ever seen in one place. More money than years of double shifts could realistically cover. I thanked him anyway. Then I walked into the hallway and stared at the paper until the words lost meaning. A nurse touched my shoulder gently. Are you okay? I forced a smile. Of course. It was a terrible lie. By evening, I was back at the club. Music pulsed through the walls. Crystal glasses reflected gold light. Wealth flowed through the room as naturally as air. I carried trays and took orders while trying not to think about hospital bills. Trying not to think about phone calls. Trying not to think about Roman Vescari. That plan lasted approximately 10 minutes. The moment I entered the main floor, I saw table 17. Roman was already there. As always. Watching the room from above. Watching everything. Or at least that was what I told myself. I spent the first hour avoiding his section entirely. Every time another server approached the VIP area, relief washed over me. Then Trent appeared beside me. Table 17 requested you. My pulse jumped. Requested me. Trent nodded. Personally. I stared at him. Roman had never done that before. Not once. Trent seemed amused by my confusion. Better not keep him waiting. I picked up a tray and headed toward the raised platform. Each step felt heavier than the last. Roman looked up the moment I arrived. His expression remained unreadable. "Good evening," I said. "What can I get for you?" He studied me for a second. Then his eyes drifted toward the dark circles beneath mine. "You look tired." The comment caught me off guard. "Long day." He nodded slightly. "The hospital?" My breath stopped. Just for a moment. "How do you know about that?" Silence stretched between us. Roman glanced toward the city skyline beyond the glass. "You spend every morning there." My grip tightened around the tray. "You have been watching me." Another pause. Then he answered honestly. "Yes." No apology. No embarrassment. Just truth. Somehow that unsettled me more. I swallowed carefully. "What?" His gaze returned to the bracelet. Something softened behind his eyes. Something almost sad. "Because 15 years ago," he said quietly, "someone I loved disappeared during a snowstorm." The noise of the club seemed to fade away. Every sound blurred into the background. Roman leaned forward slightly. "And the last time anyone saw her," he continued, "she was wearing a silver bracelet exactly like yours." Some truths do not answer questions. They create 100 new ones. I stood motionless beside the table while Roman's words echoed through my mind. Someone I loved disappeared during a snowstorm. The last time anyone saw her, she was wearing a silver bracelet exactly like yours. My throat felt dry. "You think it belonged to her?" I asked. Roman looked down at the bracelet again. I know it did. The certainty in his voice sent a chill through me. Around us, the club continued moving. Music played. Glasses clinked. Conversations flowed. Yet it felt like we were standing inside a completely different world. "My mother told me a girl gave it to me 15 years ago," I said quietly. Roman's expression changed. Not much. Just enough for me to notice. Hope. Real hope. The kind that hurt to carry. "What else did she tell you?" I repeated the story. The snowstorm. Getting lost. A teenage girl helping me. The bracelet. The strange promise about people finding each other again. Roman listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back slowly. His eyes drifted toward the city skyline. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he whispered a name. "Vivian." The name seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. "Your sister?" I asked. He nodded once. "She was 16. My pulse quickened. The same age my mother had guessed. "What happened to her?" Roman looked away. "Nobody knows." There was no anger in his voice. Only sadness. Old sadness. The kind that never completely leaves. "She vanished." I asked carefully. "Without a trace." Silence settled between us. Suddenly I understood something. Roman had not been watching me because of who I was. He had been watching me because of what I wore. Because of a memory. Because of a girl he had spent 15 years trying to find. A strange disappointment touched my chest. I hated myself for feeling it. Roman noticed my expression. "What is it?" I forced a smile. "Nothing." He studied me for a second, but did not push. Instead, his attention shifted toward the entrance. Something about the movement immediately changed his posture. The softness disappeared. The warmth vanished. The Roman sitting across from me became someone else. Controlled. Alert. Dangerous only in the way a storm feels dangerous before it arrives. I followed his gaze. 2 men had entered the club. Expensive suits. Confident smiles. They looked ordinary. Yet Roman's eyes never left them. "Do you know them?" I asked. "Unfortunately." His answer came quietly. One of the men glanced toward the VIP section. The moment his eyes landed on me, something tightened in my stomach. Not because he looked threatening. Because he looked surprised. Very surprised. He whispered something to the man beside him. Both immediately looked toward my wrist. Toward the bracelet. My heart skipped. Roman noticed it too. His expression darkened. Not with fear. With concern. Real concern. He stood. "You need to leave early tonight." I blinked. "What?" "Go home." Confusion rushed through me. "What?" Roman looked at the men again. Then back at me. Because this just became much bigger than either of us expected. Before I could respond, Trent appeared beside the table. His smile looked forced. Nervous. "Mr. Vescari," he said. "There is someone asking to meet with you privately." Roman barely acknowledged him. His attention remained on me. "Promise me something." My pulse hammered in my ears. "What?" "Do not take that bracelet off." The seriousness in his voice made my stomach twist. "Roman, what is happening?" For the first time since I met him, uncertainty crossed his face. Just for a second. Then it disappeared. I am trying to figure that out myself. Moments later, I left through the employee entrance. The cool night air hit my face immediately. The city seemed quieter than usual. I pulled my jacket tighter and started toward the subway. Halfway down the block, I noticed something strange. A black sedan sat parked across the street. Its headlights were off. The engine was running. I kept walking. The sedan remained where it was. Then I turned the corner. A few seconds later, I heard an engine start moving behind me. Slowly. Following. I told myself it was coincidence. I told myself I was imagining things. Then my phone vibrated. One new message. Unknown number. My hands shook as I opened it. The text contained only 6 words. We know who wears it now. The difference between paranoia and instinct is usually time. One eventually proves itself right. I stood beneath a flickering streetlight staring at the message on my phone. 6 words. Simple words. Yet they seemed to pull all the warmth from the night air. We know who wears it now. I looked over my shoulder. The black sedan was still there. Still moving slowly. Still keeping its distance. My pulse hammered against my ribs. I told myself not to panic. People received strange messages every day. Cars drove down city streets every night. Not everything was a threat. Not everything was connected. Then the sedan turned when I turned. The knot in my stomach tightened. I slipped into the crowded subway station. Commuters moved around me carrying backpacks and coffee cups. The noise helped. Crowds usually helped. I boarded the first train that arrived. Through the window, I watched the platform disappear behind me. Only then did I finally breathe. By the time I reached my apartment, it was nearly 3 in the morning. Sleep should have come easily. It did not. Every shadow looked suspicious. Every sound felt louder than normal. I kept replaying Roman's warning. Do not take that bracelet off. Eventually exhaustion won. The next thing I knew, sunlight was pouring through my bedroom window. My alarm screamed from the nightstand. I checked my phone immediately. No new messages. No missed calls. No explanations. Just silence. Somehow that felt worse. I spent the morning at Mercy General. My mother seemed stronger. Her color looked better. Her smile looked real. For the first time in weeks, hope entered the room with me. Then she noticed my distracted expression. You did not sleep. It was not a question. I laughed softly. Was it that obvious? You have the same face your father made when he worried. The mention of my father caught me off guard. He had been gone for years. Yet somehow hearing about him comforted me. My mother squeezed my hand gently. Whatever is happening, do not carry it alone. I almost told her everything. The messages. The car. Roman. The bracelet. Instead I smiled and changed the subject. She let me. Mothers sometimes know when their children are not ready. That evening, rain returned to Manhattan. Thin silver lines streaked across the city as I walked toward work. The moment I entered the club, something felt different. Staff members whispered more than usual. Security seemed more alert. Even Trent looked tense. I noticed him speaking quietly into his phone near the office hallway. When he saw me, the call ended immediately. Strange. Very strange. I headed toward the service station and started preparing for the evening rush. 30 minutes later, a hostess approached. Table 17 is already occupied. My stomach immediately flipped. Roman. Of course. I tried not to look. I failed. Across the room, Roman sat exactly where he always did. Yet tonight he was not alone. A gray-haired man occupied the seat across from him. They appeared deep in conversation. Serious conversation. Roman's attention suddenly shifted. His eyes found mine through the crowd. He stood immediately. The older man turned and followed his gaze. The moment he saw me, his expression changed completely. Shock. Genuine shock. I stopped walking. The older man rose from his chair so quickly that his drink nearly tipped over. He whispered something to Roman. Roman's jaw tightened. Then both men started toward me. Every instinct told me this was important. Important in ways I still did not understand. They reached me near the service station. The older man's eyes moved directly to my bracelet. His hands trembled slightly. My God, he whispered. It really is hers. The world seemed to tilt. Roman looked exhausted, as if he had spent the entire day chasing answers. Tessa, he said carefully. There is something you need to see. Before I could ask what he meant, another phone buzzed. Not mine. Roman's. He glanced at the screen. All color disappeared from his face. The older man noticed immediately. What happened? Roman looked from the phone to me. His voice dropped almost to a whisper. Someone just entered Deborah Whitmore's hospital room pretending to be family. The fastest way to stop breathing is hearing your mother's name in the middle of a nightmare. Everything around me disappeared. The music, the lights, the conversations. All of it faded beneath the sound of my own heartbeat. What do you mean? I asked. Roman was already reaching for his coat. The hospital flagged a visitor. His voice remained calm, but tension sharpened every word. Someone used false information to gain access. My stomach dropped. Is my mother okay? We do not know yet. Those 4 words hit harder than anything else. I grabbed my bag before he finished speaking. The older man stepped aside immediately. Roman motioned toward the exit. We moved through the club faster than I thought possible. Rain greeted us outside. Cold. Relentless. The city blurred beneath reflections of red taillights and neon signs. A black SUV waited at the curb. Roman opened the passenger door. I hesitated only a second before climbing inside. The moment the door closed, the vehicle pulled away. My hands would not stop shaking. Roman noticed. Without a word, he handed me a bottle of water. I accepted it, but could not drink. Who would do this? I asked. Roman stared out the rain-covered window. That is what worries me. Because you do not know? He looked at me. Because too many people suddenly care about that bracelet. Silence filled the vehicle. I hated how much sense that made. 15 years. Nobody had ever mentioned the bracelet. Nobody had ever looked twice at it. Then suddenly strangers were sending messages. Following me. Asking questions. It felt impossible. Yet it was happening. Roman's phone rang again. He answered immediately. I listened to one side of the conversation. Short answers. Direct questions. Then his expression shifted. Relief. Good, he said quietly. Keep her there. The call ended. My chest tightened. Tell me. Roman nodded. Your mother is safe. Air rushed from my lungs. I had not realized how long I had been holding my breath. Thank God. The visitor left before security arrived. My relief faded slightly. Did they identify who it was? Roman shook his head. Not yet. The city lights streaked across the windows as we crossed Midtown. Rain continued tapping softly against the glass. Then Roman surprised me. You should know something. I looked up. What? He leaned back slightly. The older man you met tonight is Arthur Hale. The name meant nothing to me. Roman noticed my confusion. He worked with my father years ago. I waited. Arthur was the last person to see Vivian before she disappeared. My pulse quickened immediately. What did he mean when he said the bracelet was hers? Roman's gaze drifted toward the storm outside. Because he gave it to her. The answer stunned me. For several seconds I could not speak. You are serious? Yes. Suddenly dozens of puzzle pieces shifted in my mind. Arthur recognized the bracelet instantly because he had seen it before. Not in a photograph. Not in a memory. In real life. Then he knows something. I whispered. Roman nodded. More than he told us tonight. The SUV pulled beneath the covered entrance of Mercy General. We stepped out into the rain and hurried inside. Bright hospital lights replaced the darkness of the city. The smell of disinfectant replaced wet pavement. Nurses moved through hallways carrying charts and coffee cups. Everything felt normal. Too normal. My mother sat awake when we entered her room. The moment she saw me, concern crossed her face. Tessa. Then she noticed Roman standing beside me. Her expression changed instantly. Not confusion. Recognition. Real recognition. My heart stopped. My mother slowly sat upright. Her eyes never left Roman's face. Then she whispered words that made the entire room freeze. You have your sister's eyes. Some moments feel impossible even while they are happening. My mother stared at Roman as though she had seen a ghost walk into the room. Roman stood completely still. For the first time since I met him, he looked genuinely shaken. The hospital room seemed smaller. Quieter. The steady hum of medical equipment suddenly sounded deafening. What did you say? Roman asked softly. My mother swallowed. Her eyes never left his face. Your sister, she whispered. You have her eyes. A long silence followed. I looked from one to the other. My pulse climbed higher with every second. Roman stepped closer to the bed. You knew Vivian? My mother closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them again, tears shimmered there. Only for one night. The answer hit all 3 of us at once. Roman pulled a chair beside her bed and sat down. His voice remained calm, but I could hear the strain beneath it. Please tell me everything. My mother nodded slowly. The snowstorm was worse than anything I had ever seen. Her gaze drifted toward the rain streaking across the hospital window. I was searching everywhere for Tessa. My throat tightened. Even after all these years, the memory clearly still hurt. Then I found her sitting beneath a bus shelter. Roman leaned forward slightly. With Vivian. Yes. The room fell silent again. My mother smiled sadly. She was holding Tessa's hand. Something shifted behind Roman's eyes. Something fragile. Was she hurt? He asked. No. My mother shook her head. She looked tired. Cold. But not hurt. Roman released a breath. Perhaps it was the first hopeful thing he had heard in 15 years. Did she tell you where she was going? My mother hesitated. The pause immediately caught Roman's attention. Deborah. She looked down at her blanket. She said she was hiding. Every muscle in Roman's body tightened. From who? She never explained. My mother's voice softened. But she seemed frightened. The words settled heavily between us. I watched Roman carefully. He looked less like a powerful man and more like a brother desperately searching for answers. She kept looking over her shoulder. My mother continued. Like she expected someone to find her. Roman rubbed a hand across his jaw. His expression darkened with thought. Did she mention any names? No. Any places? No. His shoulders sank slightly. Then my mother surprised him again. But she gave me something. Roman immediately looked up. What? My mother glanced toward me. Not the bracelet. My heartbeat accelerated. There was something else. She nodded. I never told anyone. Roman and I exchanged a stunned look. Why not? I asked. My mother smiled weakly. Because she asked me not to. The answer somehow made everything more mysterious. Roman's voice dropped almost to a whisper. What did she give you? My mother reached slowly toward the bedside drawer. My breath caught. Roman leaned forward. Even the sound of rain seemed to disappear. Her fingers trembled as she opened the drawer. Then she removed a small sealed envelope. Yellowed with age. Worn by time. The edges looked 15 years old. Exactly 15 years old. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. I promised I would only open it if someone came looking for her. My mother said quietly. Roman stared at the envelope as if it contained the answer to his entire life. And did you? My mother shook her head. No. Roman swallowed hard. Then what is inside? She gently placed the envelope into his hands. I never found out. The room became completely silent. Roman looked down at the faded paper. His fingers hovered over the seal. For 15 years, he had searched for his sister. For 15 years, every lead had ended in disappointment. Now a forgotten envelope rested in his hands. A message from the last night anyone had seen her. He looked at me briefly, then at my mother. Finally, he broke the seal. Inside was a single folded sheet of paper. Roman unfolded it carefully. His eyes moved across the first line. Instantly, all color drained from his face. I stood up so quickly the chair nearly tipped over. What does it say? Roman looked up slowly. The shock in his expression terrified me. Then he read the first sentence aloud. If you are reading this, it means they finally found me. Some sentences changed the temperature of a room. This was one of them. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Even the rain outside seemed to fade into silence. Roman stared at the paper as if it might disappear if he blinked. His hand tightened slightly around the page. My mother looked frightened. Not because of what she knew. Because of what she never knew. For 15 years, that envelope had remained sealed. For 15 years, the answer sat quietly inside a hospital drawer. Roman swallowed hard and continued reading. If you are reading this, it means they finally found me. If they found me, then they may be looking for someone else too. A chill crawled across my skin. Roman's eyes moved lower on the page. Please protect the little girl. My breath caught. The little girl. Me. The realization hit instantly. Vivian had been talking about me. Roman seemed to reach the same conclusion. His gaze lifted slowly toward my face. Neither of us spoke. We did not need to. The letter continued. She is not important because of who she is. She is important because of what she carries. My pulse hammered inside my ears. Roman looked back down. His expression darkened with concentration. The bracelet is only half of what they want. Every muscle in my body tensed. Half. The word echoed through the room. Half meant there was another piece. Another secret. Another answer. Roman continued reading. The other half must never fall into the wrong hands. My mother pressed a trembling hand against her chest. Dear God. I barely heard her. My attention remained fixed on the paper. 15 years. 15 years of questions. Yet every answer seemed to create 10 more mysteries. Roman's voice lowered further. I had no choice. I hid it where nobody would think to look. He stopped. His eyes narrowed. Then he read the final lines silently. His expression changed immediately. Shock. Real shock. The paper slowly lowered. What is it? I asked. Roman looked at me. Then at my mother. Then back at the letter. For several seconds, he seemed unable to speak. Finally, he exhaled. Vivian knew she was being followed. The room felt colder. By who? I asked. She never says. Roman's voice remained careful. But she believed they were searching for something connected to our family. My mother frowned. What kind of something? Roman tapped the letter gently. She does not explain. My frustration grew instantly. Then what did she write? Roman hesitated. That hesitation frightened me more than any answer could. She left a location. My heartbeat accelerated. A location? Roman nodded slowly. A safety deposit box. Silence exploded through the room. My mother stared at him. I stared at him. Roman stared at the letter. None of us moved. Finally, I found my voice. The other half is there. Roman folded the letter carefully. That is what Vivian believed. Questions collided inside my head. What was hidden there? Why had people suddenly started searching again? Why now? Why after 15 years? A knock interrupted everything. We all looked toward the hospital door. A nurse stepped inside carrying a clipboard. Relief washed across her face when she saw my mother awake. Then she noticed Roman. Then she noticed the letter. Her smile faded. I am sorry, she said carefully. But there is someone downstairs asking for Ms. Whitmore. My stomach tightened immediately. Who? The nurse checked the clipboard. A woman. Roman's expression hardened. Name. The nurse glanced down again. She says her name is Vivian Vescari. The room froze. Every sound vanished. Every thought stopped. For a moment, I honestly wondered if I had imagined the words. Roman stood so quickly his chair slid backward across the floor. His face had gone completely pale. That is impossible, he whispered. The nurse looked confused. Should I send her away? Nobody answered. Nobody could. Because 15 years ago, Vivian Vescari had vanished without a trace. And according to everything we knew, she was never supposed to walk through that hospital door again. Hope can be more terrifying than fear when you stopped believing in it years ago. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Roman stood frozen beside the hospital bed. His eyes locked on the nurse as if he had misheard her. What did you say? He asked quietly. The nurse shifted uncomfortably. The woman downstairs said her name is Vivian Vescari. My mother covered her mouth. I felt my pulse pounding inside my ears. Roman looked completely stunned. Not angry. Not suspicious. Just stunned. Like a man watching the impossible walk toward him. Then reality returned to his face. How old is she? The nurse blinked. Maybe early 30s. Roman immediately shook his head. That is not possible. 15 years had passed. Vivian would have been older. Much older. The nurse frowned. Should security remove her? Roman's expression hardened. No. His answer came instantly. Bring her upstairs. The nurse nodded and disappeared into the hallway. Silence filled the room the moment she left. Nobody seemed willing to breathe. My mother stared at the doorway. Roman stared at nothing. I stared at both of them. Minutes felt like hours. Then Roman's phone rang. He answered immediately. The conversation lasted less than 30 seconds. Whatever he heard changed everything. He ended the call and looked directly at me. Arthur just checked the records. My stomach tightened. What records? The safety deposit box. The room grew quiet again. What about it? Roman slid the folded letter into his pocket. Someone accessed it 3 days ago. The words hit like ice water. 3 days ago. Before the messages. Before the strange visitors. Before any of this. Who? I asked. Roman's jaw tightened. Nobody knows. My mother looked worried. Then the other half is gone. Roman hesitated. Maybe. The uncertainty scared me more than a direct answer. Then footsteps echoed in the hallway. Every head turned toward the door. The handle moved. My heart nearly stopped. The door slowly opened. A woman stepped inside. For one impossible second, nobody spoke. She had dark hair, green eyes, pale skin, elegant features. The resemblance was undeniable. She looked enough like Roman to be family. Roman stared at her. She stared at Roman. Tears instantly filled her eyes. Roman. His name sounded fragile on her lips. My chest tightened. For a moment, I thought it was really her. I thought 15 years of searching had somehow ended. Then Roman's expression changed. Not joy. Not relief. Recognition. The wrong kind. No, he said quietly. The woman froze. Roman took one step forward. You are not Vivian. The room seemed to lose all sound. The woman's face fell immediately. She looked devastated. Roman, please. He shook his head. My sister had a scar on her left wrist from a bicycle accident. The woman looked down. Roman's voice remained calm. You do not. Nobody moved. Nobody knew what to say. Finally, the woman lowered her gaze. I am sorry. My heart sank. Roman closed his eyes briefly. 15 years of hope had just shattered again. Who sent you? He asked. The woman hesitated. Then she reached into her purse. Security outside the room immediately shifted. Roman raised one hand. The woman slowly removed a photograph. Nothing else. Just a photograph. She handed it to him. Roman looked down. All color drained from his face again. Different this time. Worse. Much worse. His fingers tightened around the picture. Where did you get this? He whispered. The woman swallowed hard. Tears slid down her cheeks. Because the woman in that photograph saved my life 10 years ago. Roman stared at the image. Then he turned it toward us. My breath caught instantly. The woman standing in the photograph was older. Thinner. Different. But unmistakable. Vivian Vescari was alive. Sometimes the truth arrives quietly after years of being mistaken for a ghost. Nobody in the room spoke. Nobody seemed capable of speaking. Roman stared at the photograph as if the world had narrowed to a single piece of paper. The woman who brought it stood silently near the door. Tears continued slipping down her cheeks. My mother watched Roman carefully. I watched everyone. The photograph trembled slightly in Roman's hand. That frightened me more than anything. He was a man who always appeared in control. Yet now he looked completely lost. When was this taken? He asked. His voice sounded distant. The woman wiped her eyes. 10 years ago. Roman lowered his gaze to the image again. Vivian stood beside a community garden. Sunlight illuminated her face. She looked older than the teenager from the stories. Older. Wiser. Alive. Most importantly, alive. Where? Roman asked. Maine. The answer surprised everyone. Roman frowned slightly. You met her in Maine. The woman nodded. I was 19. She took a shaky breath. I was homeless at the time. Her eyes drifted toward the photograph. She found me sleeping in my car during winter. Something about that detail made my chest tighten. It sounded exactly like the person my mother had described. Someone who helped strangers without hesitation. Someone who gave away a bracelet to comfort a crying child. The woman continued speaking. She bought me food. A faint smile appeared through her tears. Then she spent 3 days helping me find work. Roman remained silent. The woman laughed softly. She never wanted thanks. My mother nodded immediately. That sounds like her. The woman looked toward my mother with surprise. Then she smiled sadly. Yes, it really does. Roman finally looked up. Hope had returned to his eyes. Careful hope. Fragile hope. The kind that breaks easily. What happened after that? He asked. The woman hesitated. She left. The room immediately became still again. Roman's shoulders tightened. Where? She never said. The answer clearly disappointed him. The woman noticed. I am sorry. Roman shook his head. You have already given me more than anyone else in 15 years. The woman reached into her purse again. This time nobody reacted. She carefully removed a folded piece of paper. There is one more thing. Roman accepted it immediately. What is this? She gave it to me before she left. My pulse quickened. Another letter. Another clue. Another piece of the puzzle. Roman unfolded it slowly. His eyes scanned the page. Then his expression changed. Confusion. This is not a letter. No, the woman said quietly. It is a map. Every person in the room leaned forward. Roman turned the paper around. Lines crossed the page. Coordinates. Roads. Landmarks. Handwritten notes filled the margins. My heart started racing. Vivian had left directions. Real directions. Roman studied the map carefully. Then his eyes stopped at a specific location. I noticed the exact moment recognition appeared. Arthur. Roman whispered the name to himself. Arthur knows this place. The woman looked surprised. Who is Arthur? Roman folded the map carefully. Someone who spent 15 years protecting secrets he never fully explained. My mother frowned. You think he knew she was alive? Roman did not answer immediately. That silence was answer enough. The realization settled heavily across the room. Arthur Hale. The man who recognized the bracelet instantly. The man who helped Roman's father. The last known witness. Suddenly his role looked very different. Roman pulled out his phone. His thumb moved across the screen rapidly. Then he lifted the device to his ear. We waited. 1 ring. 2 rings. 3. No answer. Roman tried again. Nothing. A knot formed in my stomach. What is wrong? I asked. Roman lowered the phone slowly. His face had become unreadable again. Dangerous in its calmness. Arthur never ignores my calls. Silence followed. Then another phone began ringing. Not Roman's. Mine. The unfamiliar number flashed across the screen. The same unknown caller from before. My hands instantly grew cold. Roman noticed. Answer it. I pressed accept. The line remained silent for 2 seconds. Then a familiar voice finally spoke. Older. Tired. Female. Tessa. The woman whispered. My breath caught immediately. Who is this? A pause followed. Then the answer changed everything. My name is Vivian, and there is not much time left. Some voices do not belong to the present. They belong to every unanswered question that came before them. The hospital room disappeared around me. The rain, the lights, the people, everything faded beneath the sound of that single voice. My grip tightened around the phone. Vivian, I whispered. Silence followed. Not empty silence. Emotional silence. The kind that forms when 2 strangers suddenly realize they are connected by fate. Yes, the woman replied softly. Roman froze beside me. His face had gone completely still. Every emotion seemed trapped behind his eyes. How do I know this is real? I asked. A faint laugh came through the speaker. Tired. Sad. Human. Because you still wear the bracelet. My breath caught. Roman stepped closer. Close enough to hear every word. Vivian, he said. His voice cracked for the first time. Roman. The line became silent again. Then I heard her breathing. Uneven. Emotional. 15 years collapsed into a single moment. You got so old, she whispered. Roman laughed despite the tears gathering in his eyes. That is what happens after 15 years. The sound that followed was not quite laughter. Not quite crying. Just relief. Pure relief. My mother wiped tears from her cheeks. Even the woman who brought the photograph looked overwhelmed. Nobody interrupted. Nobody wanted to. Some reunions deserve silence. Where are you? Roman finally asked. The question changed everything. Vivian became quiet immediately. I cannot tell you. Roman's expression hardened. Vivian, listen to me. Her voice became firmer. There is not much time. The room grew tense again. Hope remained, but now urgency joined it. What happened? Roman asked. Why did you leave? A long pause followed. Because I thought it would protect you. Roman lowered his gaze. The answer clearly hurt. 15 years. I know. Her voice trembled. I know what it cost. I looked toward the folded letter resting beside Roman. The missing years. The hidden clues. The safety deposit box. Everything suddenly felt connected. The bracelet, Vivian continued. Do you still have it, Tessa? I instinctively touched my wrist. Yes. Relief filled her voice. Good. Roman frowned. What is so important about that bracelet? Another pause. Then Vivian answered. It is not the bracelet. My heartbeat accelerated. Then what is it? The bracelet was only meant to lead someone to the truth. Roman looked toward the letter, toward the map, toward every clue that had appeared. What truth? Vivian exhaled slowly. The thing hidden in the safety deposit box was never the secret. Every person in the room stared at the phone. Then what was? I asked. Her answer arrived softly, almost gently. The secret was always the person protecting it. Confusion spread instantly. Roman looked frustrated. Vivian, stop speaking in riddles. I am trying to protect all of you. The sadness in her voice felt genuine. Then something changed. A distant sound echoed through the phone. A door closing. Footsteps. Vivian became alert. They found me sooner than I expected. Roman immediately stood. Tell me where you are. No. Vivian. No, Roman. Her voice strengthened. You need to listen carefully. My pulse raced. Every instinct screamed that something important was coming. Arthur did not betray us, she said. Arthur kept his promise. Roman froze. The statement clearly surprised him. Then why did he disappear? Because someone else learned the truth. The room fell silent. Who? Roman asked. Vivian hesitated. For one brief moment, fear entered her voice. Real fear. The person searching for the secret was never outside the family. A chill ran through my entire body. Roman's expression darkened instantly. What are you saying? Vivian answered with 6 words that changed everything again. The danger has been beside you. The most dangerous betrayals are the ones that wear familiar faces. Nobody in the room spoke after Vivian's warning. The danger has been beside you. Roman stood motionless. His eyes had become distant, calculating, searching through years of memories. Who? He asked quietly. Vivian exhaled slowly through the phone. I cannot say his name. Roman's jaw tightened. What? Because I do not know who is listening. The answer sent another chill through the room. My mother looked frightened. The woman who brought the photograph stepped back toward the wall. Even the rain outside seemed to grow heavier. Vivian, Roman said carefully. Arthur disappeared tonight. Silence followed. Then Vivian whispered something unexpected. Then Arthur finally told the truth. Roman frowned. What truth? Another pause. The secret was never money. Never power. Never documents. My pulse quickened. Then what was everyone searching for? Vivian answered softly. Proof. Roman stared at the floor. Proof of what? When she finally spoke, her voice carried 15 years of exhaustion. Proof that our family was built on a lie. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The words landed like stones. Roman closed his eyes briefly. Explain. I cannot. Her voice cracked. Not over the phone. My heart sank. Every answer seemed one step away. Always one step away. Then another sound echoed through the line. This time Vivian reacted immediately. Roman. What? Listen carefully. He straightened. I am listening. The map Arthur has is real. Roman glanced toward the folded paper. And follow it. Tears filled her voice. It will bring you to me. For the first time all night, hope returned to the room. Real hope. The kind people build futures around. Roman swallowed hard. You are alive. A faint laugh escaped her. I have always been alive. His eyes closed again. Relief washed across his face. 15 years of grief finally had somewhere to go. Why did you never come home? Vivian remained silent for several seconds. Then she answered honestly. Because I thought staying away would keep everyone safe. Roman shook his head. You should have let me decide that. I know. The words barely rose above a whisper. That is my greatest regret. Tears rolled down my mother's cheeks. Mine were not far behind. Sometimes the saddest thing in the world is realizing how much time fear steals from people. Vivian's voice softened. Tessa. Yes. Thank you. I blinked. For what? For keeping a promise you never knew existed. My hand instinctively touched the bracelet. Suddenly everything made sense. The snowstorm. The bracelet. The messages. The years of mystery. I had carried a thread connecting 2 lives without ever knowing it. I did not do anything, I said quietly. Vivian laughed gently. Sometimes simply holding on is enough. The line became silent again. Then Roman asked the question that mattered most. Will I see you again? No hesitation followed this time. No uncertainty. No fear. Yes. The answer changed everything. Roman smiled. A real smile. The first one I had ever seen. Good. Vivian laughed softly. You sound different. Roman looked toward me. Then toward my mother. Then toward the city lights beyond the rain. A lot has changed. I can hear that. The connection crackled briefly. Then Vivian spoke one final time. Take care of each other until I get there. The line disconnected. Silence settled across the room. Yet for the first time, it was not an empty silence. It felt peaceful, hopeful, alive. Roman slowly lowered the phone. 15 years earlier, he had lost his sister. Tonight, he found her again. He looked toward me. His green eyes seemed lighter somehow. Why did you watch me every night? I finally asked. Roman smiled faintly. Then his gaze drifted toward the bracelet. Because the last person who wore it saved my family. His eyes returned to mine. Warm, honest, human. And I was not going to lose you too. Outside, the rain finally stopped. Manhattan shimmered beneath fresh light. My mother slept peacefully. Vivian was alive. The answers were finally coming. And the most powerful man in the city no longer looked like someone carrying the weight of the world alone. He owned half the city. But that night, neither money nor power mattered. Because after 15 years of darkness, hope had finally found its way home.